This week we take you through the final stretch of winter on our off-grid homestead here in Australia. There are fights in the front yard, kangaroos wrestling, and we build a new garden bed, unpack seeds and crowns that look like they're aliens from Stranger Things, and we plant sugar snap peas, black radish, and soak the soil with seaweed and quiet hope. Paul installs our new gas cooker after 4 years on a camping stove, and I give in to impulse, ordering colourful gumboots and way too many seed packets. And there's a hard part too. One of our roosters, or a couple of our roosters, turn violent. They start fighting, so we make the decision to process him here at home. So we show that part, not to shock, but to share what life is really like out here. So if you're vegan, vegetarian, or sensitive to the realities of raising and harvesting your own food, you may want to skip this one or step away when the time comes. We'll give you the heads up before that scene begins. This is part of living close to and raising your own food. The rest is soil, soup, frost, and the slow shift towards spring. The seeds arrived in the mail. More than I meant to order, but winter does that. It makes you dream too big, makes you want to fill every inch of spring with green. Among the seed packets were the asparagus crowns wrapped in tight paper.
That's a little regulator.
Paul put together the new gas cooker while I looked at the new seeds that I had got.
Maybe you could look at the instructions.
Maybe.
4 years of cooking on a camping stove. I think I've pretty much got used to it by now. That's a long time to live with the camping stove. I also ordered some colourful gumboots. The rain has been so full on here lately, and these boots just made me smile when I opened the box, and that felt like reason enough. Well, this is going to feel a bit like a luxury, I think. The neighbours' dogs came to visit, and Truffles runs to meet them. They've been fixing the fence line down near the creek, near the chimney paddock, to make sure that the cows don't get through. Not that we mind having cows in our yard anyway, as long as they don't eat the trees that we've planted. It's been getting colder again, that late winter chill that feels sharper than it should, like the cold is running out of time and wants to leave a mark. We only use the fire if it's going to be getting to 5 degrees or less during the night, so we're planning to be able to stop having a fire probably in mid-September. I'm going to plant some sugar snap peas today, as well as some black Spanish radish just beside them. These are the little labels and the CD marker that came with the little seed box that I got recently. I've got some sugar snap peas here, and they climb up a trellis up to about 100 centimetres, it says, and they've got edible pods up to 8 centimetres, and in a cool climate, which is pretty much like ours, you can sow them in August, September, October, so it's just getting towards the last couple of weeks in August at the moment. So I'm going to sow these sweet pea seeds down here in the garden, and the garden beds that we made a couple of months ago, and I'm going to space them. It says space them 10 centimeters apart and rows 50 centimeters apart, so we'll see how we go with that. We've got a thin layer of mulch over the top of this garden bed that's made of soil and compost, about probably 2 centimeters of mulch. So I've got the Spanish black radish, and it's a 1500s heirloom variety, and I'm going to sow that here in front of the sugar snap peas, and they need spacing of 10 centimeters apart and rows 30 centimeters. There's 100 seeds in here. I'm not going to plant them all, but I'll just put a row in there. So let's see how we go with that. Black radish seeds sowed. I ended up planting all of the black radish seeds actually. Now's the time to look away if you're a little bit squeamish. This rooster actually, Paul carried it to the killing cone upside down because it keeps them calm and the blood drains quickly when it's done right. And that's what we aim for, a quick, clean and with respect cut. And after the throat is cut and the blood has drained out, we dunked the bird in hot water, about 65 to 70 degrees Celsius, just long enough to loosen the feathers. So usually around 30 seconds, maybe a little more. You want to pull the feathers out easily, but not start cooking the skin. And then came the plucking, which takes time. So you're meant to start with the wing feathers, then tail and body. And you can do it by hand or use a plucker if you have one. So there's like a machine that sort of throws the bird around and takes off all the feathers for you. I've got a machine called Paul who takes the feathers off for me. We've actually raised this rooster from a chick, like about 2 weeks old. And this is Paul's first time of processing a chicken, so that made it even heavier. The thing is though, when you raise and process your own meat, it teaches you something that no supermarket packet of meat ever could, and that a life was given, and so nothing should be wasted. Every part becomes valuable, and you respect your food in a way that you never did before. I helped a little towards the end. It was a bit of a tokenistic offer of help, but Paul did most of it. The crop is a small expandable pouch in the chicken's neck, just above the breast, where the food is stored before it moves into the stomach or the gizzard. It's that bulgy bit that you can see. If the bird has eaten recently, it will feel like a soft little sack full of grain, grass or pellets. And after you've removed it from the body, you can actually cut it open to see what it's been eating. The crop is attached loosely by connective tissue, and sometimes you can just gently pull it free with your fingers. So at one point, Paul cut his finger. I had to go and get a Band-Aid for him to make sure the cut was covered while he was processing the rest of the bird. It didn't seem to slow him down very much though. Most people discard the crop with the guts as it doesn't really have a culinary use. It's just a food holding pouch. The neck has very little meat, but it's excellent for stock or soups or broth. It adds richness and depth. Paul then cuts off the feet from the knuckle. We'll definitely be keeping these chicken feet because we're going to braise them and eat them as an entree. Chicken feet are full of collagen, which makes broth rich and slightly gelatinous, and in many cultures they're also cooked as a dish on their own. You need to clean your chicken feet well by rinsing them under cold water, and you might need to scrub them with a brush if there's any debris. And you need to chop off the nails as well using a sharp knife. So after plucking, you're meant to gut the bird. We make a shallow cut just above the vent, careful not to pierce the intestines, then reach in and gently pull out the organs. The vent is the external opening where the chicken passes droppings and also lays eggs. Well, for hens at least. It's located on the underside of the bird, right at the base of the tail. If you lay the chicken on its back with its breast facing up, the vent is a small round opening just below the tail feathers. It looks different from the other skin, slightly puckered like a little button. When you're cutting the skin just above the vent, you're meant to use a very sharp knife and only cut through the skin and thin muscle wall. Once there's a little opening, then you can widen it with your fingers instead of cutting deeper. This reduces the risks of puncturing the intestines, and after that you can reach inside and pull the guts out towards the opening. Some people cut a small circle around the vent carefully, about half an inch away from the opening, which frees the vent and lower intestine. That way, when you pull everything out from inside, the vent comes out neatly too, without tearing. I think you're always meant to keep the knife shallow because the biggest mistake is making cuts too deep and nicking the intestines, which makes a big mess. Truffles is oblivious to all that's going on. So most of the organs are out. We definitely saved the heart because we wanted to wrap it in bacon and bake the heart, and it's a real delicacy in some places. There's the heart there. The crop is just under the neck skin. You want to clear that too, especially if the bird has eaten recently. Once everything's cleaned, we gave the carcass a final rinse in some iced water. Then we'll rest the bird in the fridge for at least 24 hours. This helps relax the meat and improve the texture when cooking. I've heard that if you leave the bird in the fridge for a few days, then the meat becomes tender. If you've butchered your own or processed your own chickens at home and put them in the fridge before baking, let us know how long you store them there before you cook them. And then you just need to make sure you wash everything down so it's all hygienic again for next time. Among all the seed packets that I ordered were the asparagus crowns wrapped in tight paper, and they looked like something from Stranger Things. They'll take 3 years to feed us, and still I'll tend to them because we're not just planting for now. I soaked the crowns in seaweed water, and then I built some garden beds, particularly for the asparagus, and then I dug out some long trenches with my hands, and I mounded the centre, I made 2 mounds in the centre. Then I put the asparagus crowns on top from the soaking solution, and then I spread their roots out like stars reaching underground. Then I covered them gently and poured the rest of the seaweed water over the soil, and I whispered a kind of promise that I didn't say out loud. I stuffed the bird with herbs, garlic and breadcrumbs. It's my mum's recipe for stuffing, the same one I grew up with. There's nothing like it. Maybe it's because it tastes like childhood, like home. Every time I make it, it feels like comfort served on a plate. Out in the greenhouse, some seedlings are racing ahead, especially the Lanaria Northern Lights. They're like miniature snapdragons with a mind of their own. In this season, with the help of the greenhouse given to us by Christy and her family, and the seed boxes that Paul's built me to help protect the seedlings, now we have enough to share. So I've been able to pass on some little young seedlings to Lana, our permaculture teacher down the road. She's been guiding us from the start, teaching us how to use the land differently and to work with it instead of against it. Sometimes I use old milk bottles to water them because I don't have a little watering can to use in the greenhouse. So I just put holes in the top of the old milk bottle and I add seaweed and water. And when I remember, it's not fancy, but it works, and sometimes that's enough.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
We've just got to collect our eggs and lock our chickens up for the night.
How many? 5.
The rooster wasn't a meat breed, so we knew it was going to be tough, but the skin came out really crispy and the heart wrapped in bacon and roasted was the best part. The next morning it dropped to minus 4.4 degrees Celsius about 6:45 a.m. in the morning. Everything was frozen. Ice crusted the gate.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Feel it with my eyes still closed. Feel it coming. Golden, I'll follow home. Golden, golden, golden leaves.
The chickens were slow to come out. Steam rose off their feathers like wood smoke.
in spring. Rain
The frost covered every calendula in the garden. It was the coldest day yet, and still the sun rose, the ground thawed, and we carried on.
golden things. Gold hair.
Truffles loves laying out in the sun on those cold days. That night we ate the soup, braised the feet, and sat by the fire until the logs turned to coals. We've done what we can. Planted, butchered, cleaned, fed, prepared, and what comes next is out of our hands. Outside, everything was still, and the asparagus slept under the soil. Spring is close now. You can feel it in the air.